What's up, everybody? I'm Clayton. You're listening to Ages of Fear podcast number 43, Christine, released in 1983, directed by John Carpenter. The budget for the film was $10 million. The movie grossed $21 million, giving it a net gain of $11 million. Those are the numbers for Christine. Thank you all for being here, for tuning in. I want to say a special thank you to all my new subscribers for hitting that subscribe button and coming to join the family and kick it with me here in Ages of Fear. Also, if you're new to my channel, please hit that like button and subscribe if you're enjoying the content so far. And just a few recommendations for all of you horror fans out there. You're looking for other great horror content. Movies and Beyond with Michael is another badass channel. Michael has great content over there. He's always dropping new stuff. He does fan film watch-alongs, paranormal reactions, horror hangouts on Sundays. He's got a lot there for everyone to enjoy. So go over to Movies and Beyond, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and go kick it with Michael in Movies and Beyond. Also, the Bearded Entertainment with Eric, another great horror channel. Eric's a good dude, putting out banging content all the time. He's currently doing My Life in Horror series, going through each year of his life, talking about different horror movies, and it's been a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it so far. So go over to the Bearded Entertainment, do the same thing, like, subscribe, and enjoy all of his awesome content. And then if you're a fan of movies in general and looking for a good channel with good movie reviews, let me recommend Brian Lomax to you. Brian is a good friend of mine. He's got an awesome channel over there, just Brian Lomax. Just type in Brian Lomax. His channel will come up. Hit the like and subscribe button for Brian as well. Give him some love and support. Let him know that Clayton from Ages of Fear sent you. So, all those out of the way, it's time to talk Christine. I am super excited about this video. This is the first John Carpenter film that I've reviewed on my channel. So, very excited about it. John Carpenter is my favorite horror director. I'm a massive Halloween fan. If you're new to my channel, I'm a massive Halloween fan. Michael Myers is my guy. That's who I'm rolling with. I'm riding with Michael till the end of time, baby. So, yeah, huge Halloween fan. But you know, so that's what introduced me to John Carpenter was Halloween. Halloween was the first horror film I ever saw. It introduced me to horror, so it holds a special place in my heart, and it introduced me to John Carpenter. And then over the years, as I've watched more and more of Carpenter's films, I've come to just love the man and love his body of work. I've seen all of his films. Yeah, Christine is definitely one of my favorites of his. So he's got a lot of bangers. Christine is just one of several. So, yeah, looking forward to diving into Christine and talking some John Carpenter. Just as a disclaimer and as a reminder to everybody, this is just my opinion on this movie. So if you feel differently, that's totally fine. I welcome your opinion in the comment section. All I ask is that you be respectful to my opinion, and I will be respectful to yours. So, yeah, that out of the way, let's talk Christine. Released 1983, John Carpenter. This is he's just coming off the heels of The Thing. which was in 1982, and then he did Christine in 1983. And so he, at this point, he had obviously established himself as a horror director. You know, he had also done The Fog. Obviously, he had done Halloween in '78. So yeah, he was a well-established horror director at this time. And then he does Christine, and Christine was a little different than what he had done in the past. Still a horror film, but a different type of horror film. You know, this isn't your slasher film with a guy in a white mask going around stalking, killing people. There's no alien species coming down like The Thing. He's not dealing with ghosts or spirits like he did in The Fog. This is about a car that is essentially possessed by some evil force, similar to Michael Myers in Halloween, right? But different. You know, this is an object. This is a car, right? And I personally, so I'll just go ahead and get into the positives now. The positives, and then I go into the negatives, and then give my overall rating of the film. So with the positives, I'll just go ahead and get into these. The way that this film starts off is just banging. You know, we're introduced to Christine in the beginning. You know, they're in that factory, that car factory. You have the Destroyers playing Bad to the Bone in the background, which is already just a badass way to start off a movie, any movie. You give me Bad to the Bone by the Destroyers as the soundtrack, and put me into this awesome car factory with some, gangster cars, bro, I'm already invested. So Carpenter, right from the beginning, the intro of this movie is just badass, and I love it. So we're introduced to Christine in the factory. This is her birth, right? Starts off in 1957, and we see the birth of Christine, where she starts, and right from her beginning, as she's going through this factory, this car factory. I'm sorry if you hear some noise in the background. That's my dog back here snoring like a chainsaw. But so in the factory, we see Christine going through this car factory, and right from the beginning, she kills a couple of the mechanics, a couple of these people in the car factory. So we see right from the beginning that she is dangerous, that she is lethal, and that there's something wrong with this car. Something has possessed this car, has chosen this car as its instrument of destruction, of evil, right? And then we fast forward in the story, we fast forward about 20 years into 1978, I think it is. And we're introduced to our main characters here, Arnie Cunningham and Dennis. They're best friends. One is your nerdy, dorky kind of kid, and Arnie, who's the kid that gets picked on and bullied in school. And then his friend Dennis is like the cool, popular, good-looking kid that gets all the girls. And I personally love the chemistry between Arnie and Dennis. I think the actors had great chemistry together. I think the characters were well written. I believed their friendship. I believed that was a genuine friendship. It felt very real and natural. I could tell that the actors, they meshed really well together. And I thought that they had good chemistry. We see Dennis, sticking up for Arnie throughout this film multiple times. And we see that he really cares about Arnie, which makes, what happens later on in the movie more impactful as well. But that was something that I did like, was the character writing in this film. I thought was a positive. All the characters here are really well written. The characters that you're supposed to like, Dennis and Lee, who starts off as Arnie's girlfriend, and then she ultimately becomes Lee's girlfriend. But her and Dennis, the two main characters that you're supposed to like, they are very likable characters. They have a heart to them. They're acted well in the performances by the actors. They're acted well. They're written well. The characters that you're supposed to hate, being the bullies, but Buddy and his group, his posse members, and his group of bullies, they're very unlikable douchebags, and they're well written. Characters are well written when you get the feeling that you're supposed to have about the characters. So if characters are supposed to be antagonists in a film, they're supposed to be characters that you're supposed to not like, and you don't like them, that's a sign of good writing. Characters that are supposed to be there for just entertainment purposes should entertain you. And then characters that you're supposed to like and cheer for and get behind, you should like. They should come across as likable. And I think all the characters here do their job. The characters that you're supposed to like, you like. The characters that you're supposed to hate, you hate. The characters that are there for entertainment value are entertaining. You have the old mechanic guy, the guy that owns the body shop. A very entertaining old grouch guy. So really well written characters. I thought that the script was well written. It's a very tight script. There's not really a lot of plot holes here, inconveniences, stuff like that. I think it's a pretty well written script, and a really, I think it's a well written story. It's a really interesting story, because there's not a lot of films like it where you have a horror film about a car that gets possessed by the devil, evil, whatever it is that's possessing this car. There's not a whole lot of films like that out there. So it is an original story. It's a creative story. It's an interesting story. And it's brilliantly executed by Carpenter. So yeah, the writing across the board is a positive for me. The character writing, the script writing, the story writing, the dialogue. All of that is a positive for me with Christine. The acting as well, I thought was solid across the board, especially by Keith Gordon, who plays Arnie Cunningham, the main character of this film, outside of Christine herself. But she's obviously a car, so you don't have an actor playing a car. But that would be, I would pay to see that. But Keith Gordon playing Arnie, I thought he does an exceptional job in this movie as Arnie. The way that because he's got a wide range here that he's got to pull off. He starts off the film as the nerdy, dorky kid that you're supposed to kind of sympathize with and feel sorry for, that he's getting picked on, and obviously has bad relationship with his parents as well. And you do feel sorry for him. You have that emotional investment with that character. But then as the film progresses and carries out, you see the turn in Arnie, and you see him becoming this evil person and losing himself in Christine. And I thought that Keith Gordon's performance was incredible. I thought he completely just blew it out of the water, man. Just nailed his performance. It really through his eyes. I mean, there are scenes where he's acting purely through his eyes. You can see the anger, the evil, the frustration that's building up inside him all through his eyes. And I thought he did a great job in that descent into darkness and in that descent into evil. Thought he did a great job in his performance. John Stockwell, who plays Dennis, I thought he did a great job. Scenes where he's supposed to, act concerned or a little anxious or whatever, I thought he nails those scenes. I thought the actress who played Lee did a good job. She had this vulnerability about her. You cared about her. You wanted her to, make it out alive. Even the bullies, the actors that played, Buddy and his little posse, I thought they did a good job in their performances as those bullies. The acting was great across the board in this movie. Great acting, great writing. The directing was brilliant by Carpenter. This is really peak Carpenter. Carpenter in his prime. Carpenter at his best. From 78 to, I would say, 87, 88 with Prince of Darkness. Was Carpenter's prime. Those 10 years he was at his A game and at his peak. He still had a couple of solid films after that. In the Mouth of Madness was really good. Some people really liked his vampires, John Carpenter's vampires. You had Village of the Damned, which I actually think was a pretty good film. So he still had a couple of bangers after the 80s, after Prince of Darkness. But those 10 years from 78 to 88 was, I would say, Carpenter at his best. And here in Christine, he nails it. I mean, he just brilliant directing. The way that he directs the tension in this movie, the tension building scenes. He's a master of tension. He is a master of tension. He knows how to direct tension so well in his movies. In Halloween, in The Fog, in The Thing, in Christine, in Prince of Darkness. I mean, he knows how to direct tension, and he does it so well in this movie. The practical effects, everything, again, practical effects here. Some really awesome shots of the car forming itself after it's been crushed and destroyed. It reorganizes itself and forms itself back into its proper form. And the way that Carpenter shoots that with the practical effects and everything, it still looks cool. It still looks badass to this day. I just thought that Carpenter, the way that he directed this film was outstanding. The score was great. Again, Carpenter did his own score for this one. He knows how to direct horror score, how to compose horror score, and does it brilliantly in this one as well. And there's some really good lines in this movie. That's the other thing that Carpenter does well at, is writing really good lines, like horror lines, an exposition about characters. You know, like in Halloween, Michael doesn't talk. So you have Loomis there doing the talking about Michael. And in Christine obviously can't talk. She's a car. So you have her owner doing the talking for her. And, you know, like when Arnie goes to buy Christine from that old guy out in the sticks, the exposition that he gives in that scene is just, it's bone chilling. Like when he talks about how his brother died, and this car had like killed his wife and his kid, and he forced his brother to get rid of the car. And then he says, and then there's this line of dialogue where he says he got rid of the car, and then 3 weeks later, Christine came back. And like Arnie looks at him, and the way that the guy looks at Arnie in that scene, it's just so good. Like, it's just thinking about that scene just like gives me chills, man. It's so creepy and eerie. And Carpenter does such a good job at writing and directing those type of dialogue scenes about the killer or the villain or whatever it is. And yeah, I love that scene, that monologue by that old man when he's trying to get Christine off his hands. But yeah, brilliant directing by Carpenter as well. So, and I just got to say, look, yes, that car was a beautiful car. We've all seen it. It's gorgeous. The red coat looks great. The body looks great. It's a beautiful car. But all I'm saying is, if I'm getting a car and I find out that this car had killed multiple people or that multiple people had died in this car, I'm going to think twice about buying the car. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to be too hard on Arnie. You know, he's a young guy, teenager. I know the feeling. I've been there. You know, you get excited about your first car, and it's, you see this beautiful looking vehicle and you want it. I get it. And Arnie needed that for his self-confidence as well, But yeah, all I'm saying is I would think twice. That's all I'm saying. So yeah. So those are my positives, guys. There's so much awesome stuff in Christine. Moving into the negatives, there's not really a whole lot of negatives I have with Christine. Just a couple, and they're minor negatives. They're not that big of issues for me, but one of them is the ending of this movie. I'm not the biggest fan of. And what I mean is, like, the ending of Arnie and Dennis, I felt like could have been done better. Like, spoiler alert, again, if you haven't seen this movie, I don't know why you're watching this review. It's been out for 40 years. And if I'm reviewing the movie, I'm going to have to talk about some things that could give plot points away or whatever. But spoiler alert, when Arnie dies in this movie, it's just kind of like a sudden moment, and we don't get any final scene with him and Dennis in the film. He goes to try to attack Lee, and he's got the shard of glass through his chest that kills him. But we don't get any final scene with him and Dennis. And I personally would have liked that, because they're kind of the characters that we're following throughout this movie. We've invested in their friendship throughout this film. And Dennis has been by Arnie's side for this whole movie. So I would have liked like one last scene with Arnie and Dennis together, like Dennis just, saying his goodbye, or Arnie saying his goodbye, or, some type of emotional payoff there at the end with those two. And we don't really get that. Arnie just kind of dies. And then Lee tells Dennis that Arnie's dead. And all we see is Dennis just kind of hang his head like he's a little sad. But it's like, dude, this was your best friend, man. Yes, he lost himself and he became something that was ugly, but he was still your best friend, and you were trying to reach him and trying to save him throughout this movie. So, yeah, I personally think that it would have added a little bit more heart and emotional payoff to the story, to the film, if we had like that final scene with Arnie and Dennis there at the end. That's something that's always kind of bothered me with this film. It doesn't ruin the film by any means for me. I love this movie, but it every time I watch it and I get to the end, it is something that always kind of bothers me, because I would like that to be there. And then the only other negative I have, and this is kind of due to not having that finality with Arnie and Dennis, is there's not quite the emotional impact that other movies have on me personally. It is scary. It is dark. There's some awesome scenes that are really creepy and, bone chilling, but the heart and the emotional journey that you're going on and investing in with these characters, I personally don't really feel that there's a payoff to it in this movie. So that's something that I, again, would have liked to have had in the movie. So but that's it. That's all I got for negatives, guys. Christine is a masterpiece. It's brilliant. It's a great film. It's one of the few horror movies that I did kind of grow up with. I think I saw Christine for the first time when I was like maybe 10-ish, somewhere around there, and I loved it. The first time I saw it, I loved it, but it scared me. Like it was creepy, man. Every time I would see a red car that looked like Christine, I would get a little uneasy. Even to this day, if I met someone and hit it off with someone and they had a Christine looking car, I'd be lying if I said I would, I could get into that car no difficulty, because there would be a little part of me getting into that car that'd be like, is this car going to be the death of me? Type of mindset. So yeah, that's Carpenter for you. That's the brilliant directing of John Carpenter. And why, in my opinion, he's the GOAT of horror directors. I know a lot of people love Wes Craven. A lot of people love Alfred Hitchcock, and they're both great as well. Definitely deserve to be on that Mount Rushmore of horror directors. But for me, Carpenter is the GOAT of horror directors. So, those are my thoughts on Christine, guys. Love this movie. Badass soundtrack. Shout out Destroyers. Great directing, acting, writing, great scenes. And one other badass scene I gotta mention was the gas station scene when Christine is finally going after Buddy, and she blows up that gas station, and then she pulls out and fire, and the whole car is just engulfed in flames, and you just see that car cruising down the street at night on fire as she goes to kill Buddy. Dude, savagery, bro. Straight up savagery. And I believe I've said it at least once on Ages of Fear. We love savagery in Ages of Fear. So yeah, that's it, guys. Those are my thoughts on Christine. Let me know your thoughts on this movie. My overall rating here would be 4.5 stars out of 5. I love it. It's one of my favorite of John Carpenter. Again, this was Carpenter in his prime, where he couldn't miss, man. Everything he was putting out during that 10-year period or so were all bangers. So, and Christine was no exception. 4.5 star film, love it. That's my overall rating. What's your rating of Christine? Do you agree with my take, with my rating of this movie? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section. And until next time, kick it and rock on.